Hello again to another episode of Mind of the Month. I'm so pleased you're all listening to this. My name is Julia Seibold from Mind You, and today we have a special guest here. It's Hilde Marie Jahren. Hello, Marie. Hello, Hilde.
Hi. It's so nice to be here.
Oh, it's wonderful to see you. And with my episodes here, I'd love to bring people and stories to my audience, and stories who just inspire, and people who I adore, and just relevant news and information for the audience. And actually this one, Hilde, is, I think, a matter of life and death maybe, but let's keep it to the liveliness. Because the topic for today is why living sugar-free is so super rich, and how the heck do we do that anyway? So we're talking about sugar-free. Now let me introduce you properly, because you are a businesswoman. You know about the corporate world, you know how busy lifestyles can be, and you have trained yourself to be a life coach in 2012. 2017, you became a WildFit coach as well. And we get to speak about WildFit a little bit later. And it's just fascinating to hear you talk about this subject in depth. So I'm excited to dive into this now. And so what fascinates me around this topic in particular is sugar. We all tend to have this side of having a sweet tooth. I hear so many people talking about that. I have a sweet tooth. So I was looking for my sweet tooth somewhere, and I definitely had one. So this sweet tooth led me to eat lots of sugary snacks. I was growing up on porridge with cocoa powder and sugar on top. This was my breakfast in the morning. I had strawberries with sugar on top. Now, I wondered over all those years, should I change all this? Why would I need to change this? And then something happened that transformed our life, and this is the WildFit program, and where we learned how to actually deal with the sugar craving. What would you like to add to this, first of all, to your introduction and to the topic of sugar-free living?
Oh, Julia, there's so many things I could talk about, no doubt. And I can definitely recognize myself in what you're saying, that there's so much sugar around us, we don't even think about it, and we kind of become addicted to it. And I was a sugar addict. I can tell you, it's almost like an addiction that I had. And I was not even just the sugar on the strawberries or the porridge, it was sweets, it was chocolate, it was hidden all over. And I had lost control. It's almost like the sugar had control of me, and I did not have control of the sugar. And sugar is almost like a small poison, and it kind of eats you up inside in some way or the other, because it destroys and it kind of messes up with your balance of your hormones and everything, and you crave more and more, and it becomes a bit of a problem. And I had that. And at some point a few years ago, that luckily turned around. But I was to the point where I was hiding my sweets from my colleagues, from my family, from my friends. It's almost like you were an anonymous alcoholic. I was an anonymous sugar addict. And I had to hide it, but I still had to eat it every single day. It became my go-to food when I was down or tired or feeling sorry for myself or whatever it was. And I didn't even think about it. And it wasn't
so easy, isn't it, to just go for that packet and eat. And so there comes to a turning point, doesn't it, when some people who I speak to, they say, so how do I change this? When do you know how you change it? And I think you just wanted to talk about that there came a point, like that's what people sometimes experience it.
Exactly. And so I had realized several times, maybe it isn't that good. Maybe I should try and change it. And I maybe managed to change it for a couple of months. Maybe I could be without sweets for a couple of months. And then life happens, And I was just way back on the wagon, and it was just all sugar again. But it came to a quite deep point where it actually happened one day that I snapped at my son because of sugar. And I have 3 sons, and of course they're all lovable and most beautiful sons in the world, of course. But it was one specific day. I was so tired, but I needed to get things done. And I reached for the sweet as normal, and my son saw it, and he like talked to me like, "What's going on here? Why are you having sweets now, Mom? This is not a Saturday." And I guess it was a mix of defending and embarrassing and wanting it, that I was really snapping, and he was like, "You don't have to talk to me like that. This is my sweets, just go away." And this is my son, you know, and it was really, really, really embarrassing. And it felt painful. And so later that night, I still kept on working, and I was tired and all of that. And I had some more sweets, just to be honest. Not a good thing. But at night, when I finally got my head on the pillow, I started crying. Because it's like, this is not how I want it to be. I cannot snap at my kids because of sweets. I cannot keep on going around being so tired and emotional and grumpy all the time. Is this not how I want it to be? And so that was there. And coincidentally or not, you can believe in coincidence if you want to, but just, I don't know, within a few days, I got a glimpse of a video from Mind Valley, actually, with a guy talking about health. And something about that spoke to my heart, because it wasn't rigid. It was more looking at the whole person and what's going on in life. And I decided to listen. And it made sense. And it hit my heart, and it hit my brain, and I found it in my body. And so, yeah, I had a moment. It changed around, it turned around.
A little life-changing moment.
Just a little bit.
Just a little bit. Well, what fascinates me is that you mentioned how you felt with the sugar rush. And I'm sure most people can relate to that, how they feel actually energized by that sugar, and that it actually fuels them. And it is one source of energy. So, you know, it's kind of normal that we have something in our body where we produce energy from, which is sugar related. Now, I'm sure you are talking about this extra amount of sugar, which goes into our system, which is so toxic and unhealthy. And if we fill our body with this sugar, and, you know, and specifically, we're talking here about the refined sugar, which is just so unhealthy. When we give our body that, which is completely not needed, it's unnecessary, we can get lots of like healthier alternatives to sweeten our food if we would need to, and felt this kind of urge to have something sweeter in our mouth, because it's kind of normal, isn't it? Like, there is fruit out there which is so wonderful and sweet. It's nice to have that. So we are making a difference here of the whole approach to nutrition and food, and what we desire as a human being, the diversity of juices and taste in our mouth. I mean, we are born with something to taste sweet. So what would you say to people who, you know, want to find alternatives to refined sugar, because it's all out there? I mean, I speak to many of my friends who want to live a healthy lifestyle, and the fact that to take sugar out completely is kind of strange for them sometimes. It's possible. So how would you suggest going about this?
So I know sugar is something that I'm really passionate about. So like in the topic of sugar, as in what it does to us. So I could speak for hours. I'm not going to do that. I'm trying to be short. But you're very, very right. The refined sugar is more toxic than we maybe think about, and what it does to our body, and how it messes with our hormones, and how it makes the imbalance in so many ways. It's really draining on our energy. It's draining on our moods. And it's also, you know, we have a gut bacterial level, or how it kind of the things are working in there. And when there's too much sugar, it also messes up. And then the gut bacteria, it sends signals to all of our body, and specifically to our brain. And you get more depression, you get more moody problems, and it becomes an imbalance. You may go on to your weight, you might sleep worse, and you have less energy. Because yes, as you said, you have a spike of energy when you start, but it drops so dramatically that it's even worse than before you started. But in our society, we are used to having the sugar as our fuel, and it comes in so many ways, and I'll tell you about that. But we're used to it, so we think we need that spike and forget about the drop afterwards. And then we have a new spike, and then we go down again. And it keeps on like that all day long, and we get so worn out, and we don't understand what's going on. But you can say you can go to a supermarket. We all do. In today's society, we don't go hunting and we don't go gardening that much. So we go for the supermarket. And if you look at the label and the nutritional label on all the food we buy, there is sugar in almost every single item. It is scary.
And it's disguised as well, isn't it? It's disguised, and I don't know, maybe
there's like
50 types of...
Yeah, exactly. It's about 60 or more words for sugar. And refined sugar can be called so many things, like sugar or syrup or cane sugar, or it can be dextrose or maltitol, whatever. It's so many names, right? And we don't know that, and they hide them in ways. But there are alternatives. But one thing is, like, you can just start becoming aware what is actually going on. We're getting sugar through the food for so many items. And why do you think we do that? Why do you think the food industry puts the sugar? Because it's addictive. Because when you have the sugar, you want more. And they probably want to sell more. I mean, business is business. You want to sell more. So if you have the sugar, you get the sweet taste and you get the hunger for more. So they put it in. But it isn't good for us. One thing, but again, we have naturally as human beings, we do actually have a craving for sweet things, but natural sweet things. Like back in the days, and I mean back in the days, before convenience stores and everything, we had natural food. Like we had vegetables, and we went hunting, and we had fruits and root vegetable, whatever we had. And the vegetable or the fruits are sweet, and we needed them, but they came only at certain seasons, and they were hard to find. And so it's like we built in a craving to have us go work to get them, because we need the variety they give us of all different vitamins and antioxidants and so on. And so it's like the human smart genius computer we are. It's almost like it's built in to please crave for it, so that you go and you work a little bit to get it. Maybe you had to work to get the apples from the trees or whatever it would be. So you have that craving. But we didn't have it readily available all the time. It came at certain seasons. When you had it, you had to eat it, and then it was gone. Now you have it in every corner. You can even buy it online. We have sweets and sugar things all the time, and we don't need that. But what we could have as alternatives are like honey. Raw honey is a good one. Fruits, like pure fruits and raw honey, they're beautiful. I need to tell you one thing. I have to. I was in Tanzania this summer, and I've been to Africa many times before. And I was there, and I was with people, very, very rural people, like a hunter and gatherers, small tribe. And I went with them, and they went and found pure raw honey. I've never, ever tasted honey that sweet, or anything that sweet. It was delicious, but it was a natural and fresh way.
Yay!
It was just so great. So yeah, honey is a good one.
Honey is a good one. I'm sure many people know that actually, but it's substituting it, isn't it? It's actually making the choice, the aware, like the conscious choice of not putting sugar on something, and if you want it sweet, use the honey. So there was so much in there where we could dive in. I would like to touch on the fact that we sometimes want something to serve a specific need. So when we look at that in a holistic way, we now touched on how to substitute food, how to substitute the sugar. So if it's obvious, don't go for the sugar, go for the substitute like raw honey. But what about when when our mind just doesn't want to work with us? What do we do then? What's happening there inside of us? Can you tell that briefly?
I will try and be brief this time. Yeah, it's a very good question, because a lot of the eating we do is unconscious. A lot of the habits or behavior we have is unconscious. We do things because it's become a habit. We've just been doing it. It's the way we've been raised in a society. It's the way we've been kind of almost like programmed to do when something happens. And like sometimes we can eat because we're actually thirsty, because we think we're hungry, but we're actually thirsty. And very many times we eat and we crave sweet things when we eat because there's an emotion. There's an emotion we actually need to meet, but we don't understand that. We don't listen. We just feel like I am sad, or I'm tired, or I feel lonely, or whatever it could be. And then we've kind of been conditioned to go for food to meet that need. Like when we were small, I know our parents didn't do this on purpose, but if a child is like fall down or gets a scratch on the knee or like a bruise on the chin or something, we want to comfort our children.
Sure.
And we put them maybe on the lap and we say, I'm sorry, and this will be better.
We call it Trostpflaster, which means like
and
a
we might
plaster
give them a
too.
cookie.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, that's a nice one. Yeah, exactly. And we might give them a cookie like, okay, you'll be fine. And they combine the comfort of the mom and the dad with the cookie. And you have that, and unconsciously you build a belief that I need comfort. Let's go for the cookie. Something of that kind. And we don't even know we're doing it. And I have 3 kids, and I've done it to all of the 3 of them. I didn't know any better. I felt I was just
me too.
Good. Exactly. Guilty here
Me too. Yes.
Right.
So that is really, really important what you're just talking about. And that is exactly where, it takes a lot of knowledge and awareness to stop patterns. And with conversations like this, and with asking the listener to become really aware of their choices, then and there you have a moment where you can actually breathe and make a decision. So, if we'd somehow sum it up to make it actionable as well for people, what would you suggest people doing to take away from this, from what you said and just really briefly touched on? What can they do now? How can they live sugar-free? How is that possible?
So to live sugar-free, it might take a little while to get there, but it's about becoming more conscious. But I'm also wanting to touch on something briefly, and then I'll go to the specific topics you can do or things you can do. And that is that nutrition alone is a beautiful thing you can learn a lot about. But you as a human being are a whole. You have emotions, you have a brain, you have a heart, you have a body. And so to think about just nutrition alone might be a little difficult. You have to look at the whole, like holistic view, as you said earlier. And so you can think about your emotions and maybe mindfulness and just breathing. And so one of the things you can do when you feel like you want to crave for something sweet, one of them is just try and become conscious, like what's going on? I want something sweet. I was reaching for that one. What is it that I really want? Am I hungry? Am I thirsty? Am I down? Am I tired? What is going on? So you can think about that. Then you can also try and just breathe. And breathing is beautiful, such a effectful way of dealing with so many things in life, where you can breathe. Just breathe. And like just for some few seconds, even that can help. And you can reach for your glass of water. Like, maybe I'm thirsty. Or if you feel like I'm sad and down, let me have that big bucket of ice cream. Maybe you can call a friend instead. Maybe you just need to talk to somebody. Or if you really are, so maybe you can reach for fruit instead of a big bag of candy. But
well, I also would like to add to have something handy, to have something there, right? Obviously for you to take from a box or a jar or, something healthy, something sweet as alternatives. And so like with the honey, go for the honey, and then instead of dive into your sweet box or whatever, have something ready there for you to have as an alternative, and become aware. That's so important. I agree with that completely.
You have a very good point about being prepared, and that goes for so many things. Like often we also take wrong choices when we are in a rush and we just suddenly need something. So if you are a little bit more planned and prepared and have actually proper food in the morning hours and continue during the day, you have less cravings in the evening. So if you eat properly during the day, your cravings at night are less. If you drink properly during the day, your cravings are less. And also, as you say, have alternatives, have some nuts, have some fruit, have something else available. Definitely. It's a very good thing.
Amazing. So when people are now have listened to this call and this video, next time they go to the supermarket, they go in and have had their bottle of water and had finished that. They go in and they have eaten something healthy, and then they go shopping, right? Mm-hmm. And then they go through the aisle, and they are safe in the vegetable aisle. They're safe in the fruit aisle. And then then they need to have alarm bells going, bing, 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 because after those two aisles, marketing hits them, doesn't it?
Oh, you described it so well. You kind of painted a very nice picture. Yes, marketing does hit you. And even the way the supermarket is laid out, the layout of it is not coincidence. It's like you put things as a specific order for you to get to it. So yes, have water and even eaten before you go into the shop, because if you're hungry, you take more bad choices. But also if you start to study the things inside a shop, you might get surprised by all the sugar. Like if you go for cereals, you'll often see, like if you know on a nutritional label, it's also, you have the carbohydrates and the protein and the fat and everything. You also have the ingredients list, and that is always in descending order. So the first item is the one you have most of. And in many, many cereals, you have like something, and then you have sugar. And in some cereals, you have sugar first. So if you spend some time, a little bit of time in the shop, every time, let's say, okay, I'm going to check out 3 items and look at them, you'll be surprised. And maybe you can build up a way of a little bit of a irritation towards it and protest against it and say, I'm not going to let them manipulate me. I will choose my things properly.
Fantastic. And to clarify that and to point out and highlight what you just said, people want to check the ingredient list and not the nutritional list.
Exactly. Yeah.
Because on the nutritional list, there will most likely be sugar because it's made up of carbohydrates, and that is then listed as sugars. And even in fruit, we might find, carbohydrates, and that is then broken down. So
yeah, like in a tomato.
Make sure that it's sugar.
Yeah. And then again, we have to remember, like, the sugar names can be disguised in many different names, but it can often end with like toll, like multi-toll or things like that. We can share links to words for that if you want to share, if people want to know that. But
that would be great.
For the names looking like sugar. Yeah.
Amazing. Is there anything else you would like to add to make people feel that they can live a rich life sugar-free?
Oh, rich life. You know what? My life feels a lot richer because now I'm the one in control and not the sugar. I take conscious choices and I feel like I'm filled up with energy and not taken away from me. And so people might think that without sugar, it's a limitation to what you can eat. It's actually wider because the tastes of all the different foods becomes bigger. Now you can actually start tasting what is food, the different food items actually tasting like. So it's a lot richer and you have a lot more options, and it's easier to bring variety when you kind of cut out the sugar. It's a lot more going on. So it's a lot richer life, no doubt. And if people are really curious, they can go learning and reading online and everything. But also one thing to make it even richer is to maybe surround yourself with people who support you in your search for becoming a little healthier. Talk with people and have support group or support one another, your friends, your family, whoever, and be there for one another and discuss things. Definitely rich life, no doubt. Without the sugar, there's so many good tastes out there.
Awesome. And to finish it off, can you tell me what happiness means to you?
Oh, beautiful question. Happiness to me is, I link it to freedom. But happiness is the feeling inside when I feel connected, when I feel I'm me, when I feel that I'm enough. And also when I see, I can smile and cry or everything, but when I see a smile, that makes me happy. So it warms my heart.
Oh.
And I also feel like the eyes of people, when I look like in the eyes of people, I see the true person. And that is for me happiness too.
Oh, that is wonderful. Thank you for connecting, and thank you for having this conversation, which I believe is important and relevant and necessary.
Thank you for
you
having
so
me. It's a
much,
pleasure.
Hilde.
Yeah. Thank
All
you.
right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.